Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Welcome to the show the girl just said the name of. I'm the guy the girl just said the name of. With me today is somebody who usually comes on with somebody else. And I just noticed on Skype you changed your name.
No, did I?
Yeah, well, I always had it as Tracy Rowland.
It is. That's my acting name. I run another business and I try to keep them separate because I don't want business people knowing how weird I am.
Well, I'll make sure not to use that one.
Yeah, don't use the other one. I'll keep them separate. I'm like Clark Kent and Superman, but just not cool in either iteration.
But
like Clark Kent and Clark Kent again.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tracy Rowland.
Hey!
And I'm
cheering for myself.
Now, I know what people are thinking. It's usually Tracy Rowland and Dwayne Melman, or Dwayne Melman and Tracy Rowland, or Rowland and Melman,
or Sweet Zombie Jesus. That's one of our improv troupes that we do as a duo, so yeah. I don't even know where that name came from, so.
I saw somebody's podcast episode named that.
Well, I know we didn't make it up. It's a Simpsons reference.
Oh,
but I mean,
okay.
I don't know why we decided to call ourselves that. I think we were like, I don't know. Let's just call it this.
Last time you guys were on the show, we were ending the show, and we were going to do a question for the next week's guest, which I forgot to get from my last guest for you, but that's beside the point. There was a very specific one where he wanted, I think it was 100 Trump quotes.
Oh, God.
And I said that I was going to use that as a punishment for the person who kept giving people all these really high-numbered things to do as their question.
Yeah.
That turned out to be a really fun episode, and I don't think they learned their lesson. But I did want to make sure, if you can, pass along to him that I said thanks, and hopefully I'll have him on the show here soon.
I will.
But right after that episode, this is why I wanted to get you back as soon as I could.
Okay.
I love wrestling, and I love crime dramas. I'm flipping through the channels, and I saw this show. I thought it was a WWE movie. It's called See No Evil. But instead, it was a TV show. Because when I went to go check what it was about, I thought, oh, this isn't that wrestling movie. And I realized it was a lot like Dateline NBC. I watch that stuff every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I know, who is on my TV screen but somebody I just finished talking to?
Yeah.
That was you.
I know. And, Dwayne's, I think, done one of those episodes, too. Watching, you'll probably see him in one, too. Yeah, it's a show that they do, like, all the filming of up here. Obviously, the real people are usually in the States. Mm-hmm. But when they do those they call them dramatic recreation shows. And there's tons of them that film up here.
That really blew me away. I wasn't expecting that.
No, you have to remind me though, because I've done a ton of dramatic recreation shows. What was the episode about?
I think it was called. Hold on, I have it on my DVR. So let me bring it up.
That's not creepy
quick.
At all.
I'll have to find out what episode Dwayne's on.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find out and I'll send it to you, and then maybe you can watch it before you talk to him.
Yeah, that would be great. It was called The Vanishing Babysitter. And it was a girl that was supposed to be dropped off at her house.
Oh, yeah. With the hotel. Like, she went to babysit someone in a hotel. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was really creepy.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't want you to know what happens till the end because it's a show. But I really didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and a lot of them are because it's like the thing you never expect. And, they're obviously not going to pick the case where it's like, she went missing, and then they found out she was just in the basement, the end. And not, like, dead or something in the basement, Like, she's just fine, and she's just hanging out in the basement and didn't hear her mom calling her. Like, that's not... I'm going to make that show.
I was going to say, you should pitch that as a web series for the show.
I'll pitch it as... I'll call it See No Evil 2, because there is no evil. There's nothing to see here. There you go. Nothing to see here. What?
I like that. They're all about 2 to 3 minutes, and everything's okay in the end.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, there's literally nothing to see here. Move along. That's the story of my life. It's like, nothing to see here. Oh, that's sad that I say that.
I also saw a story that I wanted to talk to you about. It was about a man in Canada. So you're one of the 5 people I know in Canada.
Well,
So,
and chances are I know him. Is his name Bob? He's Bob from Canada, right?
Yeah, that's actually his name. No, it's actually Lauren Grabber.
Oh, what a name. Okay.
And he's had a vanity plate with his last name since 1991.
I heard about this guy. Yeah.
But because Trump said to grab her by the pussy,
yeah,
they don't want him to have that license plate anymore.
Yep.
And I kind of feel sorry for the guy because he looks like, I don't want to say he's an old man, but he's upper middle-aged.
Oh, yeah.
And having this plate since 91, you don't have something like that for 20 years and not have some kind of an attachment, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's his name. It's not like
Right.
It's a saying he's always said, and he said it, and it was innocent when he said it. It was, hey, go grab her. Like it's not even it's his name. So if somebody's like, your name is wrong now. It's sexist or it's racist or what. It's like, well, it's my name. Like, there's a family connection to that too. Like there's that feeling of his dad and his grandfather and grandfather's kid. Like that's a name that's been passed down for however long, so I could see it being really tough for the guy. But at the same time, I don't think I'd want to be the guy having, like, at that point I'd be like, well, like, I don't know that I agree that they should be allowed to tell him he has to get rid of the plate, because there's nothing inherently wrong with the words grab her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's falling off the abyss, grab her. Like, I don't want people to not be allowed to say that, Like,
yeah.
There's a certain point where people allow their hurt feelings to impact on other people too much, and I don't agree with that. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the words, and I mean, clearly he doesn't mean it that way, but at the same time I look at him and I'm like, well, okay, but are you going to have people thinking that you are a Trump supporter because you have this plate on, and now people are going to, who would disagree with you, are going to be like throwing eggs at your car and screaming at you and assuming things about you because of the plate? And would you maybe be better off to get rid of it of your own volition at that point? I don't know. But yeah, I don't agree with them being able to tell him he's not allowed to have it. It's not a swear word. It's not like suddenly people went, oh, wait, I'm sorry, you said the F word on your license plate for 40 years? Oh, we didn't notice that. So.
Yeah, I can see that. And now what I thought happened was he just went into the, whatever your version of the DMV is, and they just said, no, we're not going to renew it. But apparently they had a complaint against this guy for this. So it looks like it was just revoked, which seems kind of odd.
Yeah, and so obviously there's somebody who's making an assumption about him based on seeing his license plate. And it's like, clearly they don't know what his last name is, otherwise they would know that that's not what he intends. But is he going to, like, put decals on the side of his car and be like, all right, for those of you who are offended by my license plate, just so you know, like, he's going to have to describe the fact that it's his name, This is my name. It's not 2 words. It's 1 word. My name.
He should get a vanity bumper sticker with an arrow pointing up, and it just says, my last name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then, then there'll be other people that look at that and go, oh, so your last name is Grab Her? Like, you know how some people are like, my middle name is Danger. It's like it's a made-up last name because he's so much a douchebag that he supports that position that it's okay to just go and grab women when you want to. I don't know. It's hard, but I don't agree with them taking it away from him. But because then you start to police people for saying 2 words together. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a slippery slope of, I mean, we don't have the institutionalized freedom of speech that you guys have, but it's a basic right, I believe. Like, I think the Constitution allows for it, but I was talking to people about it recently, and they said, well, it's actually not as institutionalized as it is in the States. But at the same time, there's certain things where it's like, get over it. It's not what it's saying. And even if it was, so what? It's a license plate.
Well, that's how I look at it, too, is even if you don't agree with what someone's saying, they have the right to say it. And even, I know they're trying to ban things like hate speech and stuff, but I honestly think it's good that they voice that opinion, so now you know who the assholes are. You know what I mean?
It's true. How are we supposed to know otherwise?
Yeah, because I see where businesses discriminate against people, and they're trying to shut those down. And to be honest, I want to know if a business has some kind of discriminatory policy, and I think they should keep it, because now we can all just boycott them, and then all the people that we don't like, we can see go in there, and it kind of lets everybody know where you stand.
Yeah,
and I can't imagine they would be around long, you know?
Chick-fil-A is still around, as far as I know, and
Yeah.
they were they were homophobic, I believe, was their issue. So,
And that's a good example of it, because you saw who rallied around them and who rallied against them. And I've ate there, and I run stand-up shows at a gay bar, so
yeah.
it doesn't necessarily show where you stand, but
Exactly.
it is damn good chicken.
Well, see, I've never had it. They don't have them up here.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, it's pretty good. It is kind of a hard place to boycott.
Yeah, well,
I never thought about...
it depends on how much their views are impacting on people. If it's just their view is that, and you're like, well, you're an idiot, that's different. But if their view is really negatively impacting people, then, boycotting them is, I think, a good idea.
Now, the next thing I want to get into is something I didn't expect to see ever. It was where a girl arrived at prom in a coffin carried by a hearse.
What?
And yeah, her boyfriend gets out of the hearse, goes around and opens the back door, and somebody helps him pull the coffin out, and there's his prom date just ready to go. And I've seen a lot of strange stories out there. That one took the cake. I haven't heard of anything like that ever.
Wow. Was she pretending to be dead for, like, the whole time? Like,
no, she just thought it would be cool. And it was kind of like one of those old wood pine box coffins.
And this was her idea, not her boyfriend's idea, so it wasn't like some weird kinky sex thing.
That would almost make more sense, but...
Well, yeah, that I'd be like, all right, well, he's a little bit of a freak, but whatever. If you're okay with it, then go for it.
Yeah, at least somebody would have talked her into it, but she said that she likes to be unique, and she likes being a little different, and wanted to do something that she would remember and that would stand out. And I think she nailed it on both of those points.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to go to prom with somebody I had to get out of a hearse.
Well, the question now is, like, is the boyfriend cool with this? Were they goth kids?
No, she's wearing like a bright navy blue dress and has a nice bouquet of flowers. She looks like she's a kind of like a dirty blonde. I can't say she's a blonde, but doesn't look like she's full-blown brunette. I just kind of expected this black-haired pale girl.
Right, yeah, like somebody who's obsessed with death and depression and thinks this is, I don't know, or somebody who's maybe she's obsessed with vampires. See, that I could get behind, like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe she just heard of Twilight.
No, that's the wrong kind of vampires.
Oh, okay.
Although that's probably showing my age more than anything.
And it happened in Florida, so that makes it a little more where you're just like, oh, well, okay. A lot of weird shit happens in Florida.
I don't know, but there's a lot of seniors in Florida. Is that disrespectful to seniors? Be like obsessed with death in Florida and be like, hey, don't remind us it's coming.
I never thought of it that way, but that's a good point.
I don't know. That's taking it to the nth degree, I think, but that's a person crying for attention, I think, right there.
Yeah. And this is only her junior prom, so God knows what she's got in store for the senior prom. She's got to top it.
What's junior prom? We only get one.
I think your school system's structured the same, where like you move up freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior.
No, we don't. We just say like grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12.
Okay, well, she's in grade 11 now. So next year she'll be in grade 12, and then she'll have another prom. So we have, where I went to school, it was junior and senior prom, but in bigger schools, they separate them by year 11 and year 12. So presumably she's going to have to top this next year for her last year at school.
So is the idea of junior prom like you get to test it out the first time? Like,
yeah.
What is the purpose of such a big deal night? Like, I get it when you're graduating high school. It's like, yay, you survived. But are there some people that stop at grade 11 and then, I mean, obviously there's people that stop at any grade, but is it a big thing that people just stop at grade 11 for like half the class? And it's like, well, let's have a prom for them because they won't be coming back.
I don't think so. I think they're just trying to probably get more money for ticket sales to a prom.
Like I remember going to dances every year and stuff like that, but there's the problem when you graduate. Now, I'm saying this, but I went twice. I went in grade 12 because when I was you went to grade 12 if you were graduating high school and wanted to go to college or just wanted to go out and get a job or work at an apprenticeship or something like that. And you went to grade 13 if you wanted to go to university, and they've done away with grade 13. But what that meant, though, was like half of my friends were leaving school after grade 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to prom when I was in grade 12, but it was people who were in grade 12 and grade 13 at the same time. But that was because half of the school wasn't going to be there the following year.
I have never heard of grade 13. Is that just a full year?
It was a full year. Yeah, it was
Wow.
grade 13. Or they also started calling it in Ontario, they called it an Ontario academic credits. It was the year that you got your credits to take to university. So then if it was like, oh, I want to study math, well, then in grade 13 you had to have an English credit and a math credit and a science credit and something else, an arts credit or something. And you'd have to have a full year of credits in grade 13 to qualify for university. But now kids go to university after grade 12 now.
Okay. Because that's how it is here. As soon as you graduate, you can go straight in. And my daughter, she was actually taking college classes while she was doing her senior year. So I just can't imagine having another full year of school before you go off to college.
Well, I think in Quebec they still have it, and I don't kill me if I'm wrong, people from Quebec, but they used to have something in Quebec called CEGEP. So you would graduate high school at grade 11, and then you could go into trades or get some other kind of job. But if you wanted to go further in your studies, then you had to go to CEGEP, and you could either do 1 year of CEGEP or 2 years of CEGEP. And I don't remember, one was if you were going to go to college and two was if you were going to go to university. But I don't know if they've changed that now that Ontario's changed, or if Quebec is just like, no, we shall do our own way.
They do seem like they want to go their own way a lot.
Well, yeah, because if the English are doing it, no, it's not good. I don't know. I think that they've retained that from France. Although, bravo to France for the vote that they just did.
Yeah, I saw that. That was an interesting election.
Yeah, it was, and it was nerve-wracking, and it was like, oh, God, thank God, not another Donald Trump.
It was one of the few times I think a lot of Americans were paying attention to the French elections. And I think a lot of people around the world, too.
Yeah.
It was surprising.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know if it's just sort of, you know how you get those things and it's like, oh, Americans do this and Canadians do this. I think it's one of those things that people think that Americans are very inwardly focused and that they don't pay attention to world things unless it's their job or it's their passion or something.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that stereotype is true, I think, yeah, it's probably one of the times where more Americans were interested in international politics and how they're going to come about or what's going to happen than maybe in the past.
Yeah, that is one thing with this election. I think it's opened our eyes a lot more to what's going on in other countries. Like the Philippines with the, I think that's where it is, where you could tell I'm one of those people I'm talking about. But it's the guy who's the president who's got a war on drugs, but it's an actual war where he's shooting drug dealers and just throwing them in ditches.
I think you're right. I think it is the Philippines.
That kind of stuff, it's people have kind of opened their eyes a little more, because I know before the election, people were kind of comparing that guy to Trump. I don't think Trump's going to go around shooting people and throwing them in ditches, but who knows?
Who knows? You know, there were lots of people that said he wouldn't get elected either. So at this point, I don't say never.
Well, he did say he could shoot somebody in the middle of the street and not lose any votes. So maybe he'll test that theory on some drug dealers.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Let's hope that we're not emboldening him to do something, you know, because we know that he reads a lot of stuff on the internet. So he could listen to this podcast and be like, well, they think I won't do it, so I should, just to prove them wrong.
You know, that is kind of interesting, because most presidents up to him, I don't think they ever cared what was on Twitter. And I don't think they really cared too much about what people said about. At least they seemed like they had thicker skin.
Yeah.
And it does feel like if you attack Trump hard enough on your show, he might talk about you and lash out at you just on Twitter. If you do it hard enough, you just never know what that guy's going to do. It's
No. And I mean, in reality, though, the fact is, as time has gone on, the importance of social media has changed for people to the point where, I mean, yes, say for Obama, Twitter was a thing and Facebook and all these other Instagram and all this stuff. They were things, and I guess him and his staff were using it. But I think as time goes on, there has to be a shift towards using more social media. But I'm not for a second suggesting that he uses it well or that he isn't a great big friggin' baby. But I think that there has to be more of that, because that's how you interact with people that are of a certain age in the United States anyway, or in Canada. There's a certain aspect of people who don't get their news from anywhere else.
Yeah.
I say news with quotation marks around it.
Well, as soon as Donald Trump got elected, I noticed that Chuck Schumer and a lot of Democrats started going to social media and hoping that would increase their presence as far as millennials go and the younger voters, because I think they realized that as far as that goes, their game isn't as strong as they thought it was.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's hard to believe how much that stuff has changed the world. Because I remember when Twitter first went big, it was because there was some kind of riot or a protest going on in Iran, and that was one way that people were able to communicate with each other. And that was, I don't know, it was around before then, but that's when it really kind of sparked, and people took advantage of it a little more as far as communicating what was going on in other countries that wasn't being widely reported. And
right, yeah.
Now it's turned into something where the president's talking about meatloaf. It's
Oh, has he posted something about meatloaf now?
He posted something in 2011. I always have the news on in the background. And for whatever reason, CNN went out of their way on a 3-minute piece to talk down about President Trump's love for meatloaf. And they dug up a quote from him on Twitter in 2011. And it kind of made me question the American news sources when they're looking into quotes from Donald Trump all the way back to 2011 just to find something he said that they think is stupid about meatloaf.
Right. No, wait, are we talking Meatloaf the musician or Meatloaf the food?
The food.
Oh, I thought you meant the musician, because I mean, he's actually coming out with a musical, right? And I'm like, why would anybody talk down about Meatloaf? His music is awesome. But no. Wait, so they don't like the fact that he likes meatloaf?
No. And I thought that was kind of bizarre that they were just like...
Meatloaf is awesome, though.
I know. It was really weird. They were like, yeah, he really likes meatloaf. He made Chris Christie eat meatloaf when he came to the White House. He didn't even let him choose his own food. He had him eat meatloaf. Seems like he's always eating meatloaf. Look at this quote where he was at Mar-a-Lago eating meatloaf. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I can see that somebody might go, oh, that seems cheap if you're bringing somebody to the White House and you're serving them meatloaf instead of something else. But at the same time, though, I think it suggests that people like CNN still don't get why he got elected, which is the average person or some average people bought into his crap because he, in some ways, says the right things that sounds like I'm an average Joe like you, when that's, obviously not true. But, like, he eats meatloaf. How many people eat meatloaf? Like, meatloaf is cheap and it's good and it's a way to, like, make your dollar stretch and have a meal for your family. Getting down on meatloaf is like getting down on the American way.
Yeah. It did seem very weird. They had a little hit piece about meatloaf.
Wow. Maybe. Now, this is me being really cynical, but maybe it's because the Meatloaf musical is coming out and Meatloaf the musician and his people were pushing stories that used the name Meatloaf in it, and they were, like, essentially starting to try to get that viral marketing thing going. So that people start searching Meatloaf on Twitter and Facebook and whatever else, and then eventually they're like, oh, guess what? Look, Meatloaf is having a new musical come out. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay.
They posted on the screen his mother's meatloaf recipe, and I took a screenshot of that. Because
it looked good or bad?
Well, I thought, if this dude loves meatloaf, this is obviously where it stemmed from. So it's got to be pretty good. I'm going to give it a shot someday.
Does it have ketchup in it?
I can't remember. I'll have to look that up and I'll send it to you.
Yeah. And my mom's meatloaf has ketchup in it, and it's awesome.
That'll be our next podcast. It's
meatloaf recipes?
It'll just be me and you trying Mrs. Trump's meatloaf recipe.
Okay, yeah, we'll both make it, and then we'll taste it, and I'll make my mom's, and I'll send you my mom's recipe, and we'll taste that
Yeah,
and see
there
if
we
my
go.
mom is better than Mrs. Trump. Is his last name really Trump? Like, is his mom's name really Mrs. Trump, or is it like Mrs. something else? Because Trump is not real, right?
What I read, it was actually DRUMPF or something along those lines, but I'm not.
Trump. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm not
That was
sure.
something that John Oliver kept going on about, like, make Trump Drumpf again.
But I don't know when that changed. Like, was it his great grandfather? Was it his dad that did it? I don't know where
Yeah.
the line come in at.
I love the internet. Sometimes I looked it up. I trust Snopes, Snopes.com. I
Yeah.
trust them. And I looked it up, and they said technically his family name was Drumpf, but his name was never Drumpf. It's always been Donald Trump. His
Okay.
family changed their name from Drumpf to Trump at some point in the history, but not while he was alive.
I figured
So his name is really Trump.
I thought it had to be a long time ago because I don't remember anybody ever coming up saying that, his name was actually this before
Yeah.
he ran for president.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. I saw a post that Star Talk, which is the radio show that Neil deGrasse Tyson hosts,
Mm-hmm.
posted of the scientists used a balloon, like a weather balloon, and a camera to videotape the aurora borealis from the stratosphere.
Nice.
So cool. If you can find that, look it up. It's just so cool. And just the whole time watching it going, human beings made something that is very simple that can look at this incredible phenomena from space. That's pretty cool. That's a tremendous thing. So
Yeah, I like that. Before we get too far away, the team that arrived in Prom Intercoffin, I'll have a video of that up on the website.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Yeah, when
I'll
you
have
said something about looking up the video, that reminded me. All right, we haven't done this in a while. I have a This or That podcast scenario from our friends over at the This or That podcast. Go check those guys out on iTunes. I think they're on Stitcher and a couple other places. It's a good show. The scenario is, would you rather take 3 showers daily or 1 shower a month?
1 shower a month.
Really?
Yeah. I don't actually like the feeling of getting into and out of a shower. I do it begrudgingly because you get gross otherwise, but I don't actually like the feeling. It's uncomfortable and it takes too much time. Like that would be like 45 minutes. If I had to do like a full shower as opposed to just run in, run out, like it would be 45 minutes at a time. It's like way too long.
Okay.
Yeah, or half an hour, I guess. Half an hour at a time. Yeah. Also, assuming I'm allowed to like sponge bath myself in between.
I don't see anything that stops you from taking a bath. That's a good out right there.
Yeah.
I was going to go with the 3 showers daily because I don't think there's a time limit on that. So you could run in 5 minutes before you go to work in the morning, shower when you get home, and then shower before you go to bed. But
I would hate that. I would resent it.
because you
Takes too
have
much
to.
time. Because I have to, and because honestly, it's an uncomfortable feeling for me. I don't know why. I think I'm weird, but it's uncomfortable. Like with that, I even have one of those showers with like the arm that moves, so I don't have to like turn the water on and have that cold blast.
Yeah, that
But-
sucks.
Oh, I hate that. So, but at the same time, I still hate the first feeling of that water on my skin. And I like swimming. I like pools. I like the ocean. I like lakes. I don't, as long as the water's not too cold, I like that. So I don't know why getting in the shower is uncomfortable, but it is. Like I said, I do it, but I don't like it.
One of my favorite things to do as a parent, before my kids go to take a bath, I go in there telling them I need to use the restroom first, and I pull the lever that turns it into a shower, so when they go to run their bath water, it sprays them down. I love that. It's my favorite thing. And
The little things, right?
They just
Yeah.
come squealing out of the bathroom, hitting you. It's wonderful.
Well, yeah, and then what they're going to learn, though, one day, Dad, is when Dad's taking the shower, do you guys have a second bathroom?
No.
Ah, darn it. You got to get a second bathroom, or they just have to go to the kitchen sink and run the hot water.
I have had that happen.
Yeah, so to Jason's kids, if you're listening, run the hot water while Dad's in the shower. That'll get him back.
And to my youngest daughter, if you're listening, you better not be. You're grounded.
You better not be listening to all this stuff. Yeah, one day.
She told me one day one of her friends at school listens to my show, and I thought, God, I really hope not.
Oh,
I don't
can we go
think so.
back and change this then? I'd like to say some different things. I did self-censor and I said the F word as opposed to actually saying the F word.
Ah, nice.
I don't know why it is that word. Like I use it a lot in my car. I use it, but for some reason, I don't know. In politer company, I can't use it.
You know, there are certain shows where I really have a thing where I just don't curse. And then there are other shows where I just drop 3 F-bombs right in a 3-minute period. I don't know why that is.
And I think for me, it's social. It's social cues. Like if you were swearing a lot, I would probably swear a lot. And I think maybe if you have like comedians that are used to swearing a lot on, or other people who swear a lot naturally, I think you just sort of, you're one of those people that, like me, you go along with the flow. And I don't mean you're a follower, but I mean that you sense the room and you rise or lower to the level of the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think part of it too is usually when I record the show, it's just me and the guest. And today my wife and my oldest daughter are here. And
Okay.
that just kind of pulls me back a little bit, you know?
Yeah, well, you
Where
don't want to be swearing.
It's a different vibe, I guess.
So is your eldest there and she now knows that you do this to her with the shower?
Yeah, she's known for a while.
Oh, okay. So if she can hear this, then I'm just saying, run the water in the sink, but run the hot because you don't want to like burn your dad. You just want to get him back. You want to like metaphysically burn him, but not physically burn him.
Well, see, what I would do is when I leave the bathroom, I lock the door behind me and shut it. So now they have the aggravation of trying to get the bathroom door unlocked so they can get in there. And that distracts them from the fact that they know that's waiting for them, but they just finished trying to get the door unlocked. And usually they forget by the time they get there. So I started learning to do that too.
Wow. You need a hobby. I'm saying, or you need another hobby.
I was going to say that is my hobby.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need another hobby. I had a friend's dad, every time I would call, he spent time learning songs that he could play with the phone buttons.
Oh, nice.
So on like an old, not a rotary phone, but like an old push button phone,
Yeah.
he would like learn how to play like Baba Black Sheep and Frere Jacques and all these songs on the phone. So while I was waiting for Leanne to come to the phone, I'd get a serenade and she'd like pick up the other phone. She's like, Dad, stop it, Dad, because he couldn't hear her because he's here playing his song on the phone. So
I forgot. I actually used to know how to play Funkytown on the phone. I forgot about that till you brought that up.
There you go. That's your new hold music. You're just going to sit there like, please hold. Dee, 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 dee. I don't know what Funkytown sounds like, so.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to hum it for me?
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, okay,
You know
yeah, I know
that?
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lips Inc. or something is their name.
And it's super easy to play because it's just like 2 or 3 numbers that you push. So.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
we are both showing our age right now. If Dwayne were here, he'd be like, I'm sorry, what's that? That sounds like disco. What?
It's kind of walking that line.
It is.
It was
It's
about that
totally
time.
walking the line. It is totally walking that line. Yeah. Although the fact that he would know what disco was would show his age, right? Because he's
Yeah.
like that age of person. Because he grew up or he was born in the 80s. So he grew up knowing what disco was and hating it just because. I hate easy listening music. It gives me heart palpitations.
Really?
Yeah, there's like Carpenter songs, and there's some stuff from Jerry Rafferty stuff, which I know is amazing music, but I'm getting better at it because my husband hates me for hating it. But Jerry Rafferty music gives me heart palpitations because I used to lie in bed at night not being able to sleep, worrying about the world and nuclear war and stuff like that, while my mom would sit in the living room and read with the radio on.
And that's what was playing?
Yeah, it's association. It's like Pavlovian for me, but it's like anything by Paul McCartney and Wings. I'm just like, oh, God, I need to leave.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so
No.
weird information about Tracy.
This next person, they almost became this week's Dumbass of the Year.
Okay.
This also comes out of Florida. It's a man who ordered a prostitute. He told his wife that he's going on a fishing trip, and basically all he was going to do was go to the outskirts of town and get a hotel room, and there's a website that he orders hookers off of. He orders a hooker, and his wife shows up.
As the hooker?
Yeah. when I first started reading, I thought, well, she found out and she routed his messages on that site to her personal email or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out she was actually working for that website, and they both got into a big fight because she's mad at him for getting hookers, he's mad at her for being one. And it looks like it's, even though they both have that common bond, it split their marriage up.
Wow. Yeah. I think at that point, wouldn't you just laugh?
Like, you almost have to, don't you?
I mean, I think there's part of you that would be like, oh, how could you? And then if you actually thought about that for a second, then would you not? I'm not saying that the marriage is going to last, because clearly they have issues. They don't tell each other things. So, like, not a good relationship. But would you not kind of go, look at us. What a bunch of idiots we are, right?
It's one of those times where it's like, you got peanut butter in my chocolate. Oh, you got chocolate in my peanut butter. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's pretty much like, well, I deserve this. Yep, so did I. Okay, well, it's been nice knowing you. Yeah, thanks. I'll go get my stuff. Seriously, to get in a big fight about it. Be like, how could you? Hello, pot. Here is the kettle.
The woman ended up moving out and going to her parents' house. And I would love to hear that conversation of why she's back living with her parents, explaining to her mom and dad how her marriage fell apart. I mean, you got to make something up, don't you?
I would think, because, well, she's clearly not a person who's honest about what she does. So is she going to be honest with her folks when she wasn't with her husband? Probably not. Although, you know what? I got to say, and I mean, I don't know the situation, but if he was going out to get a hooker, presumably he wasn't getting what he wanted at home.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was just bored. But if he's going out to do that, then is she like, no, I don't want to, but yet she's doing it with other people for money? Then I can see him being pissed off.
Yeah, no, you got a good point there.
You know, but if he's just going out because he's like, well, yeah, I get it home, but I want something different, or I want younger, or I want better looking, or whatever, different, just different, then okay, fine. Then he has no leg to stand on. But if he's like, I'm not getting it at home, so I'm going to go get it somewhere else because she's unwilling to do it for him because she's tired, I guess. Like, I gave it the office, literally.
I can... I can see him being upset on another point, too, because apparently the person he was looking at on the photos on the site, they posted that they were 28 years old, and it turned out to be his 49-year-old wife. So maybe he was like, hey, you know, there's a little age discrepancy here.
Yeah, well, and you'd think on a site like that they'd have a picture or something, right?
Well, they did, but apparently it was just from the neck down, and it looks like if you were married... I don't know how long they were married. It doesn't say that. It just says he's 52, she was 49. Can look through here real quick and see if I see anything. But it looks like you would know your wife's body, even if there's no headshot attached. Okay, guys, we're back. We had some kind of weird technical issue.
It's Trump. He's heard us talking about him, and he's cut us off. He's like, nope, sorry, that is not going to happen. I'm going to make... the interwebs great again.
Oh, that was what I was going to say earlier, was when we were talking about comparing Trump's mother's meatloaf. I could see him actually tweeting about that show where we're comparing his meatloaf to our mom.
Yes.
Maybe that's a good way for us to get publicity. I might take that out of the show so we can save that idea for ourselves.
Yeah, let's do it.
But like I was saying before we got disconnected, the pictures that were on the website were from the neck down. Yeah. But it looks like no matter how long you were married, I couldn't find the length of time they were married, but it looks like you would know that that's your wife.
Well, maybe, but maybe it's an older picture, so he's picturing her like currently, and it's a picture from when she was 30-something as opposed to 40-something. Like, who knows?
Yeah, that could be it. I don't know. It just seems like you would have to know that the picture you're looking at, instead of being a 28-year-old woman, is your 49-year-old wife.
Well, or that it is a 49-year-old. Like, unless she's in terrific shape, you'd have to buyer beware. Don't buy an old K car and they go, well, I thought it would be a brand new Lamborghini. Not that there's anything wrong with a 49-year-old woman, right. You know, being a woman of a certain age myself.
Yeah, I just don't think I could pass my body off as a 19-year-old guy if I'm trying to prostitute myself out.
Yeah.
I think people would say, I don't see it, man. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just be honest.
But this article led me to this week's Dumbass of the Year. I have no idea why. The very last sentence of this article was about a Cleveland man who is 72 years old, and he's the grandfather of his wife. He just found out they've announced that they have no plans to get divorced. And how they just threw that in one sentence at the end of the article that has nothing to do with this blew me away. I wish there would at least been a link to that news story instead of just throwing it out there as a one-sentence thing. But how bizarre is that?
So he's the grandfather of his own wife.
Yeah. And
so then that means his wife is the daughter of his son or daughter.
To me, it seems like they just got married not that long ago. And they were both really shocked to find out. But that didn't stop them from staying together. So I don't think they have kids. Like I said, it sounds like this is a really recent thing. But she's her dad's stepmom. That's really strange to say.
That's
and
weird.
To be true. You know, that's like a really stupid joke at some point. But that's a true story.
I looked one up online, and there's a Miami one who's a 60-year-old man married to his 24-year-old biological granddaughter.
Man. So,
really?
So it's not that uncommon. Because you found somebody completely different, huh? In Miami?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it says Miami Golden Beach. Maybe he's originally from Cleveland. I don't know. But first of all, what does the 24-year-old have in common with a 68-year-old? I mean, I get sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants, but that's really different.
Yeah. The only reason that I could see is money. But even then, I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't be for me, but I guess there's some people that's all they want. But I don't know. I think that's a horrible reason to marry somebody.
Yeah. There are people out there who really like older, I was going to say older women or older men. Because I know a girl that I went to school with, and she's almost always dated guys that are her dad's age or older. So,
but even then, like 24, her dad would be at most probably, well, I guess maybe depending on the age of the parents nowadays. I was thinking, more like 20 years older, 25 years older, so like in 50s maybe, but 68. You know what? More power to them, I guess, if they're actually in love, but
I saw a picture of that girl on Facebook a while back, and I just thought it was her hanging out with her uncle or grandpa, but that's the guy she's seeing now. So I was glad that I didn't comment like, "Oh, you have a cute family" or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being kind of judgy, being like, "Oh, what does a 24-year-old have?" But honestly, I don't know what a 24-year-old has in common with a 68-year-old, other than maybe they're in love with each other. But I don't even. How do you meet each other?
I can see having a fling or something like that, but as far as it depends how you look at marriage too. If it's something that you don't really care about and it's not an actual commitment on your part, it's just something to say you did.
Right.
I could see that. Because there's people out there who you would have a lot in common with. I don't think you'd want to share your life with them, though. Because there's just too much generational stuff in the way. You talk about all the stuff you grew up on, and that was the stuff they were complaining about, and the music was too loud,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Get off my lawn! And you know what? Maybe she loves him. Like, I could see a situation where maybe you love the person like you're not in love with them, but you love them.
Mm-hmm.
And if maybe they're sick or something and they need taken care of or whatever, then maybe I could see that. And then it would be, you know what, I'm marrying them so I can take care of them, and they're marrying me because once they've passed on, then essentially their money will take care of me for me having taken care of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Companionship and all that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I guess weird stuff happens all the time, right?
Yeah, there are weirder things than that out there. As far as the
Melania
age difference.
Trump is married to Trump, so what's that all about?
There you have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything you want to promote before we go?
Yeah. Dwayne and I are actually putting on a class that starts on May the 18th. We're calling it Next Level Improv. So it's not really for beginners, but it's for people who've sort of been doing the first level of improv and kind of want to move on and delve into more character work and make scenes that work better and things like that. So that's starting. It's a 4-week class. It's May 18th to June 8th, I think, is the dates, and it's like $175 plus tax. So it's actually kind of the best deal around in our area right now. If people are looking for more info, they can look up Tracy Rowland on Facebook or WinProv on Facebook, and we've still got our show every Monday night. So that's always a fun time, and you can just come, and it's pay what you can. It's 8:30 to 10:30 on Mondays in Toronto, so check out WinProv.
Cool. That sounds like a good time.
Thanks.
And soon the podcast is going to be on the radio on KLRN. That'll be Saturdays and Sundays. I'll have more information once that goes live. And we're also now on the SiriusXM podcast app. I'm really happy about that.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So we're pretty much everywhere now. And we're going to have new segments coming out with some new contributors. That'll all be starting very soon. Next stand-up show's June 10th. I'll have more about that out later too, because right now I'm in the middle of a move. So that kind of takes over before anything else.
Yeah.
But if anybody wants to, you can send me an email, jason@wedon'thavecookies.com, or call 929-266-9342 and leave me a voicemail. If you want, I'll play it on the show. If you don't want me to play it on the show, just say so. And I'm not a monster. I won't play it anyway. So don't worry about that. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. So be sure and send an email, send me a voicemail, whatever you got time for. Man, it was great to have you on the show. I couldn't believe when I saw you on See No Evil that actually happened, because I just finished talking to you.
You're going to see me in something else soon. I'm really hopeful, but I can't say what it is. But it's a U.S. national commercial.
Cool.
So hopefully I end up in the final cut of it. And yeah, you'll see that everywhere. And you'll just be like, stop trying to sell me this. Stop.
Awesome. I hope that works out. And if it does, we'll have you back on and we'll talk about that. That'll be a good time.
Because right now I can't say anything about it. So yeah, and I also did a Canadian comedy television series, just like a really small part on that.
Uh-huh.
But I can't talk about that until it comes out either. So
damn.
All of these things, I'm like, I can't tell anybody anything, but it's pretty awesome.
It just gives us something to talk about next time.
Yeah. And do I need to give you a question for your next guest, or are you good?
Yeah, I'll get that as soon as we go off the air. And
all right.
That'll be us signing off now. So I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review.
I do it, but I don't like it.